Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here from Inspired Growth Training. This week's article, 8 reasons to say no to a rental property. And look, my point is simply this, is that we're very careful, of course, selecting tenants, taking on the right tenants. And there are a number of tenants that we say no to because we want to make sure we only take on good quality tenants. If we get that wrong, it has a massive impact on our overall portfolio. But also, same goes with owner and property selection too. And most officers really don't have any criteria when it comes to, hey, what should we say no to? Now, okay, granted, if the property is not in a good standard of repair, we might say no, but that's just about it. So this article here delves into the 8 things that if we just use common sense and learn to say no to new business, it might be 1 in 10 or even 1 in 15 properties. And if we don't take on those, then we're going to have a much cleaner, a much healthier, a better rent roll or portfolio for us to work in that everyone's going to enjoy. So let's just go through very quickly. And number 1 is what's the minimum rent before you say no? In any marketplace, in most marketplaces, there is an end of town that perhaps is a lot more difficult. The tenants are a lot harder to get them to pay the rent, all those sorts of things. And the lower rent we go, the more we go into possibly that type of property. But also, what's your average rent on your property management software system? So, for example, is it $400 a week or $500 a week? And if you're in the US, is it $11 or $12 or $1,300 a month? You know, technically, if your rent, for example, is $500 a week on average, according to your software system, well, then don't go taking on properties at $450 and $400 a week. It's going to take your averages backwards. But also, taking on lower rents means you're possibly going into those lower socio areas as well. It's lower socioeconomic areas. So you just need to have, a limit. What's the minimum rent before you say no? That's the first reason. Second one is, well, fees. You've really got to look at what's the income you want to attain per property per year. You see, in real estate sales, they might say, well, hey, I'm going to earn likely a $12,000 or a $15,000 commission on that property for sale. But for rentals, we don't talk that way. We might say, well, it's a $400 a week or a $500 a week or a $1,500 a month rental, but we don't really consider how much income are we aiming to earn out of that. So add up in a typical year. What's the management fee income going to be over a year? Is the property going to turn over every 2 years? So you have to then allocate half a leasing fee, per year. Add that. What about how much money you're going to earn from inspections or whatever in a typical year on minimum? Adding it all up, is it going to be $2,000 a year or $3,000 a year? So have a limit that we won't take on anything that doesn't earn us, for example, $1,500 or $2,000 or $2,500 per year in fee income before you say no. So, know your numbers as well. All right, reason number 3, don't drive long distances. My goodness me, there's portfolios out there. The property managers spend so much time seated in a car. They're working part-time because they're not doing any work when they're driving, and they're working part-time in a full-time portfolio, and that causes a lot of stress and a lot of burnout. I say as a rule, don't drive more than 30 minutes to a property in peak hour. Anything more than that and taking on too many of those types of properties, again, results in a property manager spending too much time driving. And we want to have a minimal amount of time with drive time for property managers. All right, not taking on any properties in bad areas. So we've got to be careful with this. And of course, we got USA people listening to this video. And I know in the USA, you've got discrimination issues and all that sort of thing. And if you need to ignore what I'm saying, that's fine. In Australia, New Zealand, we haven't got a problem in saying, hey, keep away, or I say keep away from lower socioeconomic areas. Of course, low rents, the tenant pool for quality tenants is harder to find. There's just a lot of difficulty surrounding that. It's a different dynamic for property management as well. It can cause much higher burnout rates, much lower income, all that sort of stuff, and problems and difficulties all around. So I'm one, hey, look, if you can avoid bad areas, or if you're in a regional area, bad streets, then do so. Alrighty, number 5, don't take on the wrong property types. Now, so for example, where I used to work, we had units and flats, and there's 1 and 2 bedroom small type property where the laundry, toilet, bathroom is in that small area, or for me, former government housing type properties, because those type properties are low in rents, low in incomes, but also can attract that lower socio type tenant as well. And it just can result in bad business. So if a property type is not going to get you a good result, then say no to that type property. Of course, there's many good property types out there, like, a family home, or it's an apartment or something like that, American condos, if that's your thing. But, know what property types to say no to. Alrighty. Now, number 6 is pretty easy. A lot of officers get this right, but don't take on properties in a low state or a poor state of repair. And certainly in Australia, legislation is pretty tough. You've got to take on property that is in a reasonable state of repair. But, you want to go reasonable to good, which means owners need to be on board in spending money. If the owner doesn't want to spend money on repairs, it's opening up a whole Pandora box with problems. You want to avoid that. Furniture, I guess, furniture is that F word. Now, if you're into student accommodation, or you're into Airbnb, or you're into short-term holiday accommodation, of course, what I say doesn't apply. But in traditional property management, with suburban properties, family homes that are renting out for 1, 2, 3 years at a time, tenants in general have their own furniture. By allowing or having furniture there, you're reducing the pool of quality tenants that perhaps do require a property without furniture, and those type of with furniture, and those types of tenants are generally wanting a short term as well. But having furniture can cause all sorts of grief and all sorts of problems, with things being damaged, going missing, the owner wanting full replacement, tribunal saying no, that's not the case, and all sorts of issues can occur, particularly if inspections aren't done properly, things aren't noted properly. I'm just saying you're better off not having furniture in that type of situation. And the last one here, avoiding C-class owners. And very quickly, there are owners that are unreasonable, over-demanding. They take up too much of your time. Whatever the rent is, they want more. Whatever your fees are, they want less. They put little to no money into properties, but also tend to have a crap property that attracts a crap tenant, and they tend to have low rent properties too. And these types of owners, they can cause all sorts of problems. And I have a saying, they're like a packet of cigarettes, and they can take years off your life. So, avoid these type of clients. They just burn out staff. You don't earn a lot of money anyway. They can attract the wrong type of tenant to them. So I'm very much one saying, hey, avoid C-class owners wherever you can. So that's it, guys. 8 reasons to say no. They're my reasons. Hope you've enjoyed the article, and take care.